Is my audience in front of me? Did you get them all? Okay. All right, so welcome and thank you for coming this evening. My topic that I'm going to be speaking on is Christian teachers in a public school. Henry Brooks Adams, who is the grandson of former President John Quincy Adams, said, "A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops." Maybe that quote has caused you to think about a teacher from your past and the influence they had over you, or a teacher that your child has had who was influential in their life. I know I can think of several that have been a great influence on my life. Our children are very important to us, and we want the best for them, including the influences they have in their life. And since they're in school for over 30 hours a week, it would be reasonable to assume that a teacher would have a lot of influence over our children. Now, I myself have taught for over 5 years, and during that time, it has shown me how I, as a teacher, can pass on godly values to children, all within the realm of the laws that do bind us these days, unfortunately. The public schools have a pretty bad reputation, and most Christians who are going into the education field don't really even want to consider going into it. But they should look at it as an opportunity to pass on godly values to children who might never ever hear of such a thing or learn of kindness. My goals tonight are 3. The first one is to show how a Christian teacher should be fair, how a Christian teacher can show compassion or caring, and lastly, and most importantly, the importance of praying for students. So let's get started with my first point, and that would be showing fairness. Now, of course, you would think all teachers would show fairness. However, that's not always true, and I'm sure you're thinking of a teacher who probably have their favorites. But according to Acts 10:34, it says, "God is no respecter of persons." And Don Albin, the who wrote Speech Communication, A Redemptive Introduction, said that teachers should be prepared to work with all children, no matter their background, ethnicity, or religious beliefs. This makes me think of the song, "Jesus Loves the Little Children of the World," and how they're precious in His sight. My second point would be compassion. Christian teachers need to show compassion or caring. And Darlene Parker, who wrote the book Christian Teachers in Public Schools, 13 Essentials for the Classroom, has 2 wonderful ideas. The first one is a journal. She has the children write in a journal a specific thought or feeling, and then she responds to it. And then another one would be a classroom project. The idea behind a classroom project is to get the children to not think about their own problems, but to see that other people need them. It could be a thing like writing letters to a child who's been sick, or a teacher who hasn't been feeling well, or doing a fundraiser for a family in the community. There are going to be some children who don't necessarily like you as a teacher, no matter what you do, but they still need compassion. And Charlene Chaston, friend of Darlene Parker, says about criticism, "Don't nurse it, don't curse it, don't rehearse it, just reverse it." She's basically saying, make a positive out of a negative. Another way they can show compassion, or to change a negative into a positive, is to perhaps with that child go to a school activity like a sporting event or a band concert, and later be able to have some common ground to focus on. My last point is that of praying. Julia and Gloria Strengths from Christian Teachers in a Public School, a guide for teachers, administrators, and parents, says, "Teachers who pray individually for children often find that their personal walk with them is transformed." And that could be for any area of life with someone you're having trouble with. But veteran teacher Anne says, "Perhaps God wanted me in those students' lives because I was likely the only one who would ever bring those names before the throne of grace." And to me, that's a very powerful statement. This brings me to my closing. God's values can be taught in a public school. Simple things such as being fair and not showing favorites, which can be hard. Compassion or caring. and also the power of prayer. Jude 1:22 says, "And of some have compassion, making a difference." One word, one smile, or one prayer could equal the difference in one child's life, who will then possibly pass it on to a friend or a parent or a family member. And then I have my visual aid here. This is by an unknown author, but it says, "The influence of a good teacher can never be erased." Thank you.